Picture this. You just got a raise. A real one. Your income finally crossed into doing well territory. You tell yourself, okay, this is it, this is when things get easier. But 3 months later, you check your account and somehow you're just as tight as before. No big purchase. No disaster. The money just isn't there. And you're sitting there thinking, wait, I make more than I ever have. So why does it still feel like I'm broke? If that sounds familiar, you're far from the only one. Because a good salary and financial progress are not actually the same thing. And most people never figure out why until years have already slipped by. My name is Jack. If you're someone who earns a solid income but somehow never feels like you're getting ahead, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Your salary was never the problem. Look, we love to blame income. If I just made more, I'd finally be fine. But here's what most people don't realize. The moment your income goes up, your expenses quietly go up right along with it. Almost automatically. Almost invisibly. There's actually an old idea from economics that explains this perfectly. It's sometimes called Parkinson's law of money, and it says expenses will always rise to meet whatever income is available. Not because you're careless, because your brain is wired that way. Let's look at the math. Person A earns $4,000 a month and keeps their expenses exactly where they were before, still around $3,200. That leaves $800 a month to save or invest. Person B also earns $4,000 a month, but Person B got here through raises. And with each raise came a slightly nicer apartment, a slightly nicer car payment, more takeout, more subscriptions. Same $4,000. But Person B's expenses have quietly crept up to $3,900. That leaves $100. Same income. Almost 40 times the gap in what actually gets built. And here's the part that stings. Person B isn't lazy or reckless. Person B just never noticed the creep happening, because it happened in tiny, forgivable steps. A $40 upgrade here. A $60 subscription there. None of it felt like a decision. It just felt like life getting a little better. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it's the single biggest reason people with strong incomes still feel financially stuck. Now let's fast forward, because this is where the gap turns from annoying into life-changing. If Person A keeps saving that $800 a month and invests it at a typical long-term market return, after 5 years they're sitting on roughly $58,000. Person B, still just saving $100 a month, ends up with around $7,000 in the same 5 years. Same starting salary. Same 5 years of life. One person built almost enough for a house down payment. The other barely built an emergency cushion. And neither of them would tell you they made one big bad decision. It really was just 100 small ones. Now here's what most people don't realize about why this trap works so well. It's not about willpower. It's about visibility. When your paycheck lands, you see one number. You don't see the version of you from 2 years ago whose expenses were $700 lower. There's no side-by-side comparison flashing on your screen. So your brain just accepts the new normal instantly, and the extra money disappears into things that never feel like splurges. Think of it like a bathtub with a slow leak. The water, your income, keeps flowing in steadily. But there's a small crack near the bottom, tiny, barely noticeable, and water keeps draining out just as fast as it comes in. The tub never fills. Not because you're not pouring in enough water. Because nobody ever found the crack. So let's fix that. Here's the actual path out. Step 1. Freeze your baseline. Before your next raise even hits your account, write down exactly what you spend right now. Every fixed cost, every flexible cost. This number becomes your baseline, and nothing is allowed to quietly drift above it without you noticing. Step 2. Automate the gap. The moment a raise arrives, immediately move at least half of the increase into savings or investments before you ever see it in your checking account. If your income goes up $400 a month, $200 leaves before you can get used to having it. Step 3. Give lifestyle upgrades a waiting period. If you want to upgrade something, a car, an apartment, a habit, wait 30 days before committing. Most lifestyle creep happens on impulse. A short delay kills most of it before it becomes permanent. Step 4. Track your invisible spending category. Not groceries, not rent, the stuff that grew without a decision. Subscriptions, delivery apps, small upgrades. This category is almost always where the leak lives. I had a friend go through this exact pattern. 2 raises in 3 years, a job he was proud of, and somehow less money saved than when he started. When he finally sat down and compared his spending line by line, he found $650 a month in small increases he never consciously chose. Nicer gym. Food delivery 3 times a week. A subscription he forgot he had. Once he saw it laid out, he didn't even need extra willpower. He just closed the crack. 6 months later, without earning a single extra dollar, he had more sitting in investments than he had in the previous 2 years combined. Nothing about his job changed. Nothing about his income changed. He just stopped losing money to a leak he couldn't see. Now you might be thinking, okay Jack, but don't I deserve to enjoy the money I'm earning? Completely fair. This isn't about living like you're broke forever. It's about deciding on purpose what gets upgraded, instead of letting it happen by accident. There's a real difference between a raise you chose to enjoy and a raise that vanished without your permission. One is a decision. The other is a leak wearing a decision's clothes. And once you can tell the two apart, upgrading your life on purpose actually feels better, not worse, because you know exactly what it's costing you. So let's recap the leak-proofing system. First, freeze your current baseline before the next raise lands. Second, automate at least half of every increase before you can adjust to it. Third, add a 30-day waiting period on lifestyle upgrades. Fourth, track the invisible spending category where creep actually lives. Because here's the truth most people never hear. You don't need a bigger income to finally get ahead. You need a smaller leak. If this video helped you see where your money's actually been going, hit subscribe. And I'm curious, when you picture your spending 2 years ago versus now, how much do you think has quietly crept up without you choosing it? Let me know in the comments. Because finding your leak is the first step to actually filling the tub.